What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the Credit Plug channel, where we talk about how to build credit, how to establish relationships with banks, and most importantly, how to get you access to high limit credit funding. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as smash the like button. We greatly appreciate the support. So in today's video, I'm gonna be sharing some information on some of the top soft pull personal credit cards out on the market. I'm just gonna recap some of the best ones where you can get a soft pull pre-qualification. So just to start off the list, we have Bank Mobile Credit. Bank Mobile has two different types of credit cards. So they have the Bank Mobile Classic MasterCard and they have the Bank Mobile Credit Rewards MasterCard. So depending on what you qualify for, that'll dictate which offer that you received. Now, if you qualify and you complete the full application, then it will be a hard pull. There's absolutely no annual fee. The APRs range from 14.74 to 22.74. It is available in most states, but there are some that it's not available in yet. And you also got to make sure that your credit report is not frozen. Now, from the latest data points, it looks like Bank Mobile does pull TransUnion. Next up on the list, we have the Apple Card. Now, in order to apply for the Apple Card, you will need to have an Apple ID. Now, just because you don't have an Apple device doesn't mean that you can't apply for the Apple Card. And the Apple Card is again through Goldman Sachs. They're going to be pulling your TransUnion credit report. And the Apple Card, in my opinion, is one of the best credit cards. Their process is very straightforward. Now, when you go through the pre-qualification, if you do get an offer, they'll tell you what the limit is and what your APR will be. At that point, if you decide to move forward, then it may be a hard pull. However, there is a trick where a lot of people were able to get approved with no hard inquiry. Basically, what they would do is they would get an offer. Once they get an offer, they will log into their TransUnion profile and then freeze their credit report. Now, this may not work with every situation, but I do know that is how a lot of people were able to get approved. The variable APRs range from 10.99% to 21.99%. And as it says right here, accepting an Apple Card after your application is approved will result in a hard inquiry, which may impact your credit score. So I would just go in expecting to get a hard pull. But one thing I will say is that the Apple Card, generally what you get pre-approved for is what you'll ultimately received, as long as there's no big differences in your credit reports, which shouldn't if you're applying for this all within the same day. Next up on the list, we have another Goldman Sachs underwritten credit card. So just like the Apple Card, Goldman Sachs is underwriting the GM brand credit cards. Now, you could choose from 5 different designs. So they have Chevrolet, they have Cadillac, Buick, GMC, as well as GM. Again, they're going to be pulling your TransUnion credit report. So just keep that in mind. And the application process is very straightforward. You will get an offer. If you proceed with the offer, then it will be a hard pull. And just like with the Apple Card, some people have been able to freeze their credit report after they get the offer and then get this credit card without a hard pull. Next up on the list, we have the FMBO credit card. So FMBO has a soft pull pre-qualification for both their personal credit cards as well as with their business credit cards, where you can get an offer and then they're going to be using your Experian to qualify you. So all of FMBO's credit cards are going to be through Experian, and they're going to specifically be using your FICO 8 credit score. Now, on the personal side, they have the Evergreen by FMBO credit card, which earns unlimited 2% cash back. It does have a 200 cash bonus after you spend $1,000 within the first billing cycle. So that's a pretty good bonus. And then they also have 0% introductory APR for 12 billing cycles. After that, a variable APR based on your credit score. There's a balance transfer fee of 5%. And there's no annual fee. And then they have this new credit card, the Getaway by FMBO. So this earns unlimited 3x points for every dollar that you spend on travel, dining, and gas. There is a 0% introductory APR for the first 12 billing cycles on purchases and balance transfers. There's no annual fee. They also have a secure credit card, and then they also have credit cards on the business side that you could pre-qualify for. Now, what I will say about the FMBO underwritten credit cards is that this specific pre-qualification, sometimes you may have to provide additional documentation like income statements or pay stubs. So just expect POI, even if you do get pre-qualified, and POI is proof of income. So any type of documentation that's going to verify your income, they may ask for it. In certain cases, you can get an instant approval, but it's all going to depend on your unique characteristics. Next up, we have NASA Federal Credit Union. Now, NASA Federal Credit Union also allows you to pre-qualify for their credit cards. As you see right here, no impact to your credit score. Now, all you got to do is hit this check your rate and it'll bring you to the application. You can get pre-qualified in as little as 2 minutes. Checking your rate will not affect your credit score. Now, what I will say about the NASA Federal Credit Union pre-qualification, there's been conflicting data points. Now, I do have this particular credit card, which I was able to get through the pre-qualification, and I was approved for exactly the limit and the APR that I pre-qualified for. However, there are data points where people are getting pre-qualified and then accepting the offer and then getting denied after getting hard pulled. So that's just one thing I would caution with the NASA Federal Credit Union pre-qualification. But this is a great way just to get into NASA Federal Credit Union because they have personal lines of credit, personal loans, and they also have business credit products. Next up, we have the Truest pre-qualification. Now, this is a relatively new pre-qualification, and I was actually able to go through this and get approved for 2 Truest credit cards. Now, one of the things about the Truest pre-qualification is that there's no hard credit check. Now, I could verify this, and there's a lot of other data points out there that will verify this. I actually went a step further because I did pre-qualify, and then later on, as I saw more people state that they didn't get hard pull, I actually went through this and was able to get approved for 2 Truest personal credit cards without a hard inquiry. Now, traditionally, Truist and formerly BB&T would use your Equifax credit report to qualify you. So that's what they're going to be using to give you the soft pull pre-qualification. Now, from all of the data points I've seen, this has been an instant approval. I haven't seen any data points yet where people are actually having to provide proof of income. But again, your mileage may vary, but this is another solid credit card pre-qualification. And they're only going to be available in select states. I know along the East Coast as well as in the South. The West Coast, I'm not too sure about. So definitely double check to see if this is available in your state. Next up on the list, we have the Prosper pre-qualification. Now, this I would say would be more for people who are rebuilding their credit. So the maximum limit is only going to be $3,000. There's no annual fee, and you'll start with an initial line of $500 to $3,000. And they do automatic credit increase reviews. So this will be a good option if you are rebuilding your credit or you have limited credit history. But if you're trying to get a higher credit limit, then I probably wouldn't bother with this. But one of the great things is that if you do get an offer, it's a very solid offer. You're at a very high chance of getting approved if you do get an offer. And the Prosper card is going to be pulling your TransUnion credit report. Next up on the list, we have the Upgrade Visa. Now, in the Upgrade Visa, this works like a personal line of credit where you can actually get access to funds by transferring from the line of credit to your checking account. They have 4 different products. They have the cash rewards, 1.5% cash back on payment. So when you're paying back your balance, they also have the triple cash rewards. They have this Bitcoin rewards where you earn 1.5% back in Bitcoin on payments. And then they have the upgrade card. So as you can see atop here, there's different cards for different credit profiles. So if you're on the lower credit scale, you're probably going to want to go with the upgrade card because it's improving credit. All the other credit products are going to require average to excellent credit, and they're going to be using your TransUnion credit report in order to pre-qualify you. They'll give you an offer, and then if you accept the offer, then they will do a hard inquiry. And they will also require a lot of income verification and documents. So just be prepared for that if you do decide to apply for the upgrade card. Next up on the list, we have the Reflex MasterCard. Now, this is going to be geared more for people who are rebuilding their credit. And the Reflex MasterCard is bankruptcy friendly. So I know there's a lot of credit card issuers where if you have a bankruptcy on your credit report, you may not be able to get approved. But this is one that I could verify that people who are rebuilding their credit from a bankruptcy may be able to get approved. Now, you can get an initial limit up to $1,000, and the credit limit will double to $2,000. So whatever credit limit you have, it'll double after your first 6 required monthly minimum payments. So after you make your first 6 minimum monthly payments, your credit limit will double automatically. So this is a great choice if you're in that rebuilding stage. You can get a decision in a couple of seconds. It doesn't take very long at all. The initial limits are going to be anywhere from $300 to $1,000. And again, after your 6 monthly on-time payments, then the credit limit is going to double. The annual fee can range from $75 to $99 based on your credit worthiness. The APRs are going to be pretty high, 24.99 to 29.99. Remember, this is a subprime credit card. So, every credit product isn't for everyone. If you already have solid credit, then you don't necessarily need to apply for this one. Next up on the list, we have the Opportune Visa. This is another subprime credit card that you could get pre-qualified for. They also do have mail-in offers. Now, you can get a credit line up to $1,000. There's no credit history needed to apply. So this is going to be for people with newer credit profiles as well as rebuilding credit profiles. And I also wanted to let you know that they do have the Opportune Cashback Visa credit card coming soon. So if you're interested in being considered for this is only going to be available by invitation only, but you can put in your first name, last name, email right here, and then that'll put you onto the wait list. But if you wanted to pre-qualify for the Opportune Visa credit card, all you got to do is click this button right here. Next up on the list, we have the U.S. Alliance Financial. Now, they have a soft pull pre-qualification. Now, this is not just for credit cards. This is for credit cards, auto loans, as well as personal loans. You can get a pre-qualified decision in as little as 2 minutes, and there's no risk to your credit score. So this is another great solution. Next up on the list, we have the M1 Owners Rewards Visa Signature Credit Card. Now, what I really like about this particular account is that you'll get a conditional approval. So you can't even get a hard pull denial on this, because if you don't get a conditional approval, then you won't be able to move forward with the application. So if you get approved for this credit card, then you will get a hard inquiry. But if you get denied for this credit card, you're not going to waste the hard inquiry. So that's one thing that I really do like about the M1 Visa. And then they are going to be using your Experian credit profile in order to qualify. And I would say this is going to be more geared for people with prime credit. So you will need to have a pretty high credit score in order to qualify for this. Next up on the list, we have the BlockFi Visa. So you earn 1.5% unlimited in Bitcoin. There's no annual fee. And as it says right here, you can see if you're pre-approved with no impact to your credit. So before you even, BlockFi is going to be using your Experian credit profile in order to qualify you. Next up on the list, we have Capital One. A lot of you already know about Capital One, but you can get pre-qualified for all of the different Capital One credit cards, including the Quicksilver, the Saver One, the Saver, Venture, and Venture Rewards credit cards. Now, one disadvantage I would say about Capital One is that they're going to be hard pulling multiple credit bureaus even after you get pre-approved. So if you don't want a lot of hard pulls, then this might not be one for you. But from what I've seen, the Capital One pre-qualifications are fairly solid, but again, it's not a guarantee. Last on the list, we have the Discover It. Now, this is another great pre-approval process. Usually when you get pre-approved for Discover, then it's pretty solid. Now, one thing I do like about the Discover pre-approval form is that if you don't get an offer, it saves you from wasting the hard pull. Now, you can always apply directly, but again, you take the risk of getting denied as well as getting hard pull. So I would recommend anyone interested in Discover, just go through the pre-approval process. If you don't get a pre-approval, then it's probably saving you an unnecessary hard pull. But if you do get a pre-approval, then you might want to pull the trigger, because from all the data points I've gathered over the years, people who get pre-approved for Discover is almost a guaranteed approval. All right, so let's just recap all the soft pull pre-qualifications. We have the Bank Mobile credit card pre-qualification. You have the Apple Card. You also have the GM by Goldman Sachs. We have FMBO. They're going to be using Experian. You also have NASA Federal Credit Union pulling Experian. You have the Truest pre-qualification. They're going to be using Equifax. Prosper Credit Card, I believe they're also going to be using TransUnion. Upgrade is going to be using TransUnion. So there's a lot of TransUnion and Experian in this list. You also have the Reflex MasterCard. They're going to be using Experian. Opportune, I'm not sure off the top of my head. I believe it's Experian. You also have U.S. Alliance Financial soft pull pre-qualification. M1 Finance, they're going to be using Experian. BlockFi, Visa, they're going to be using Experian. Capital One, they're going to be pulling multiple credit bureaus. And then Discover, they're either going to pull Experian or TransUnion. So that concludes the list of soft pull pre-qualification credit cards. Now, one thing I can say about all of the ones in this list is that they're fairly solid. Now, it's not a guarantee just because you get a pre-approval or pre-qualification that you're guaranteed to get approved, but it is a good indication. Anyways, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Let me know your comments and questions in the comment section below. Till next time, take it easy and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.